Swipe to top right to access the settings now. Let's try that again. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. You got to go swipe from top right. Hello, Apple? Maybe. My Galaxy S25 Ultra unit just arrived, so let's get it unboxed. I like the silhouette, looks nice, different, kind of gives you a tease of what it is, S25 Ultra. It tells me that I have the titanium silver blue version, but otherwise, a pretty straightforward box. So let's open it up, find out what's inside. There we go. Oh, look at that. It looks blue. At this angle with the light, it has a nice, I wouldn't say it's not a deep blue, it's very light. There we go. Now it's weird because when I tilt it at different angles, it looks like it is almost gray, but in certain lights, it looks blue. Really nice. Let me just open up take off this cover here. There we go. Turn it on for you guys so you can see what it looks like. There we go, put that aside. Let's see what else is in the box here. Obviously, no charger, so you gotta get yourself your own charger for this one. It supports 45 watts wired charging and I believe 15 watts wireless. You only get your USB-C cable in there. Well, since I review phones a lot, it doesn't matter because I have tons of chargers, but yes, for the average person, it's always nice having the extra charger. And of course, your instructions for the SIM card. And that looks like about it. Nothing else. Your SIM tool ejector, but pretty much your standard fanfare here. Just to make it easier, it does support eSIM, so if you don't want to use your physical one, you have that as an option. Let me talk about the design first, what stands out. There are subtle changes here. For starters, it has now completely flat edges. The entire bezel is completely flat, as you could tell. Another big difference is that they've gone away with that squared off corners. Now they have more round. So it honestly looks a lot like the S25 and S25 Plus. They kept the design language uniform between all of them. You have the titanium bezel here. Pretty lightweight. I gotta say, for a phone this size with a 6.9-inch display, pretty lightweight, which is great. Feels solid, as you'd expect. You have your Corning Gorilla Glass on the front. You have your quadruple cameras on the back, and yeah, now kind of looks more like an iPhone because of how the corners are more curved. So yeah, it's tough to say what this phone is just by looking at the front. So here is the S24 Ultra. This is the new S25 Ultra. You could see the differences in their designs right from the front. You have the 90-degree angle corners here versus the more rounded ones on the S25 Ultra. And also the sides. The sides here are curved, which I kind of like more, just because when you hold it, it feels more natural versus the completely flat edge of the new S25 Ultra. You definitely feel the sharpness a little bit around those bezels. It's a big difference in weight. I definitely noticed the difference in weight between them. It's still a big phone. If you have smaller hands, a little bit tough to maneuver, but it's just nice that it's lighter. That's the thing that stands out most to me. I'll briefly talk about the cameras in the back here. So quadruple camera setup. Pretty much the same exact specs with the exception of the ultra wide. Now it's an upgraded 50 megapixel ultra wide camera. So they say it's going to be better for low light and also for macro photography. That is the biggest change. I also noticed how they protrude a little bit more than the S24 Ultra. It's kind of catching up because you think about it, the iPhone 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max upgraded to a 48 megapixel camera, and we saw how that improved macro photography and also low light performance. So when you set up for the first time, you do have the option of copying your old data to the new phone. So if you have an S23, S22 even, you could do it wirelessly, so it's exactly the way it was on your old device. Some of the other cool features I'm excited to test out, you have log video, so it gives you that flatter color profile. Nightography, because I've always, been a fan of Samsung, but when you shoot in low light, it's tougher because you get noisier looking videos, but Nightography is supposed to fix that. And then there's the audio eraser feature, which I'm kind of skeptical about because I tried it with the iPhone 16 Pro Max and also the Google Pixel 8 Pro. It doesn't quite get it done, but hopefully Samsung fixes that. Another change with the S25 Ultra is the display. The overall footprint's actually slimmer and thinner, lighter than the previous model, but they've actually increased the display. It went from a 6.8-inch display to a 6.9-inch one, and they've reduced the bezels around the side, so it looks like there's a lot more screen than ever before. Swipe to top right to access the settings now. Let's try that again. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. You got to go swipe from top right. Hello, Apple? Maybe. One thing I remember with my S24 Ultra is that it had this Mura effect. The display looked duller, especially in lower lighting conditions. It was grainy, and it looks like they've swapped it out with a higher quality panel in here because it's vibrant, it's definitely more saturated, and it just looked a lot better than before. And speaking of brightness, I'm kind of curious about how bright it really gets, because right now, the Pixel 9 Pro XL is the brightest phone we've tested to date, and that was about 2400 nits, I believe. So Samsung has a lot of ground to cover. So while the hardware in the phone isn't a big difference, the bigger changes here are going to be all the software features. For starters, you have the new One UI 7 experience on top of Android 15. And as you saw earlier, they changed up the way some of the gestures go. It's a cleaner looking interface, and there's a lot of new features with it. So the big thing here is the Galaxy AI features. There are a bunch of new ones introduced here with the S25 Ultra. It's exclusive so far to the S25 line. So you're not just going to get it on the S25 Ultra, but also the S25 and S25 Plus. Basically, the phone is going to be more personalized to you. It's going to know where you're at, it's going to know your actions, it's going to suggest routines, and we got to demo quite a few of them in our Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra hands-on video.
Show me the next Rams game and add it to my calendar.
Okay, I'm adding this game to your calendar.
One of the cooler features I saw demoed of the phone is the ability to make custom routines based on my own actions with the phone. So basically, when you press the right button, you could tell the phone to do something for you, and it will do it. So in theory, if I had smart lights and I was coming home from work, I could set the routine so that when I'm getting close to my house, it'll automatically turn on the lights. And then there's also the cross-app interaction. So now you'll be able to look up your favorite team's schedule for the season and then tell the phone to put that into your calendar. So it'll take the information, it'll gather it, and it'll also add it to your calendar. But right now, the biggest thing I'm kind of looking forward to is whether or not we'll see more third-party apps have access to that, because while it's great, you'll be able to tap into the core apps, your calendar, your messages, and all that, and make all those actions and routines. I want to see it do other apps, not just WhatsApp or Spotify, which are the first two that are supported out of the gate. And then there's also all the new generative AI stuff with photo editing. It's a lot smarter detecting the scene. So if there are shadows, you're removing a person in a photo, it'll automatically do that without having you to actually select the shadows as well. There's also the Now bar, which is kind of like Apple's dynamic island. So you'll have this glanceable piece of information on the lock screen. So make sure to check out our full review to find out all about that. What do you guys think? Are you excited about the S25 Ultra? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to keep an eye out on our channel for our full review. I'm John V, and I'll see you in my next video. Yeah, it is chunky.